The National University of Singapore is known to be very academically challenging, as it's world-renowned as a top-tier research-intensive university, known for its computer science and engineering and business departments. But outside the number one QS World University rankings, how does it actually feel to study here, especially as an exchange student who wants to balance academics and fun? In this video, I'll explain the structure, grading, and difficulty of the NUS classes I took to give you a more personal view on academics at a globally recognized school. Let's get into it. I took 4 classes at NUS. LSM 2291, which is Introduction to Fundamental Techniques in Microbiology, and its lab, LSM 2233, which is Cell Biology, JS 2230, which is Food in Japan, plus its tutorials every other week, and SE 3224, which is type drawing and painting. This was equivalent to the minimum number of credits at my home university. So what were the major differences between my home university in the US versus NUS? Number 1, the length of the classes and labs. The classes were all blocked for 2 hours and scheduled to meet either once or twice a week. I'm used to max 1.5 hour classes twice a week or 50-minute classes 3 times a week. Listening to information for 2 hours straight was quite tiring at times. It also doesn't really leave much space for many classes if you were to take more than I did. In addition, the labs was 6 hours long. When I first registered for the course, I thought it was, I get to choose a lab time during that 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. period. Oh boy, was I wrong, because I did the lab every other week for 6 hours straight. It was quite an interesting predicament. My labs back in the US are normally max 3 hours long. Some classes require tutorials, which would be the equivalent of recitation in the US, but we actually have the professor work with us in small 10-person classes rather than TAs. It was actually a cool experience to work with the professor and speak with them on a more personal level compared to lectures. Number 2, the content and teaching style of classes. The content and teaching style of the lecture-based classes like cell bio, microbiology, and food in Japan were pretty similar to those back in the US. I listened to the professor's lecture, took notes, and completed in-class activities. However, there were some unique aspects, such as my food in Japan class was pretty cool since we had taste testing and even experienced a traditional tea ceremony from professionals straight from Japan. It was cool to experience these activities, especially after learning about them in class. My Thai drawing and painting class was mainly lecture-based from the first half, and then we were able to go on a class field trip to Thailand to see those traditional paintings in person, which was really cool because I was able to see Thailand in a way that I've never seen before. I slept in a temple, we went to a bunch of different other temples that were not open to the public, and we were only given permission to go in because our professor knew the monks at the temples. And so after the field trip, we started actually doing art and working on our final project. This is actually the one true art class provided in NUS. And even though the labs were 6 hours long, I still enjoyed what we did in labs. I was able to do microbiome techniques like gram staining, streaking, and a bunch of other experiments that I haven't really had the chance to do in my home university back in the US. I felt there were a lot more expectations for the students and a lot more responsibilities, therefore we were able to do a lot more complex and interesting techniques instead of just like learning how to use a pipette. Number 3, difficulty and the workload of the classes. Most of the classes I took were pretty standard difficulty for its 2000 and 3000 level, which would be intended for 2nd and 3rd years respectively. Depending on the class, there wasn't much work I needed to do outside of classes. Pre-work was to watch a video or read an essay before. Then I had some in-class quizzes and lab reports to write. Most of the major assignments are the CAs, which are their way of saying midterms, and the final exams or projects. And this kind of overlaps with the next point, number 4, grading of the classes, because there are basically no small homework assignments or other ways to get points, and most of your grade is weighted on your midterms and finals, which can be really worrying at times. So into grading, because I was an exchange student who needed a C because my grade transferred as pass-fail, I didn't really end up studying that much besides for my final. And even for my final, I didn't study that much because I actually took a trip to South Korea 1 week before my final and I came back 2 days before my final. My classes were all graded on a curve, which I think everything for, especially for my cell bio course. The cell bio course had the most difficult exam I have ever taken in my life. which I heard through the grapevine was due to the professor being notorious about his difficult exams, because the exams were research paper based and not anything really you learn in lecture. But I did clutch an A minus at the end, which was great. My exam scores were like 50%, but I was above the average. So as long as you get above the average, you'll be doing fine grade-wise. This is different to my home university, which normally gives us our raw grades and then curves or give us extra bonus points as they see fit. But in some cases, they don't really. Number 5, exam periods. So one extra note I would like to include that I love about NUS is how they structure the exam period. NUS has a reading week 1 week before the CAs or midterm week. This is also the same for finals, so that after classes end, students have a week of no classes to just prepare for your final. And what I love about this is that one, midterms are only allowed to be given during that one CA midterm week. This is different to my home university where once midterms start, it won't stop until finals. So it really aren't midterms, but just unit exams called midterm. Number 2, the 1 week before finals allows students with ample time to study new material that is provided in the last day of class. My home university only gives us 1 day before the first day of finals. Now, the million-dollar question would be, would I trade NUS classes for my home university? And I would say partially. I would love the structure of exam periods at my home university, but I do enjoy the way my classes are taught. In addition, the consistent bell curving creates an environment that forces a lot of competition, which I think personally would cause a lot of academic stress for me when grades actually matters. Let me know if this video was helpful and what other aspects of NUS life would you like to see. Be sure to subscribe. I'll be making another video about how my social life was at NUS, a school known to be quote-unquote very cliquey. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.